The flight of an aviator. That's a pretty high expectation, especially when we all begin with our feet firmly on the ground. But some people are born to look skyward, to reach higher, and to take others along for the ride. Today, we get the chance to sit down with one such man, Roger Buck, a pilot, musician, husband, father, and lifelong learner. From a small town in South Australia to the skies above Europe and beyond, Roger's journey is anything but ordinary. He's flown planes, fought fires, played the bagpipes at the world's most prestigious events, and studied healing arts. All with humility, humour, and heart. So, let's start from the beginning.
Hey, jet setters and trendsetters, just your head there. Sorry about the shine. I think my brother's worse, but I won't tell him that.
Thank you.
Okay, the flight of an aviator. So, the flight of an aviator, my brother, he's put some memoirs together, and I was fairly interested in of his memoirs, and very colourful, and I just thought I'd interview him to let everyone know. So, Roger, flight of an aviator. We'll start off from the beginning where I've got written down here. Fairly high. So where did we begin? We begin from the beginning. So if you just say your name and all that sort of stuff and where you're from, mate.
Yep. Okay, it's Roger Buck, Roger John Buck, I was christened. Born 8th of February 1948 in the old Mount Gambier Hospital, Lake Terrace West. And as babies, Ian and I, we lived with Mum and Dad down in Kongorng. Dad had a dairy farm down there. And how we got to Penola, he was asked to apply for a mechanic's job with the Penola District Council. So he did, and he got the job, and so we lived in Penola for about 11 years.
Oh, okay. So, and any brothers or sisters, Roger?
Yeah. Ian is an older brother, Spencer, and then Gregory.
Hello.
Yeah.
Right. So you grew up in Penola for how many years?
Yeah, about 11 years, Greg. Yeah, it was a happy childhood. I remember that, and it wasn't far to school, the Penola area school, just down Clark Street, a little way over the fence and across the school oval.
Yeah. So you live close to the Craigie Lawns and the
yes.
railway station. You got any stories like that?
Yeah, well, I'll leave the railway station stuff alone, but our back paddock neighboured onto the Penola croquet greens, and Mum learnt to play croquet, and she became very good. She was an A-grade player, and she won the Advertiser Cup, the Adelaide Advertiser Cup, and then Dad learnt, of course, and he became an A-grade player. Both very good players, and they used to tour Australia when they retired from the shop. And Dad was an international player. He played for Australia, England, New Zealand, etc. And Spencer, he learnt to play as well, and he became an A-grade player, international as well. He played in England, South Africa. He even played a exhibition game for Queen Elizabeth II. So that's a pretty good hoot for a young lad.
I reckon, yeah. So, but you didn't get up to any mischief?
Not at all. Boys will be boys. I know where you're steering me, but I'll steer away from it. But no, Ian and I, we used to man the scoreboard when the footy was on, and of course we'd experiment with cigarettes and all that stuff until someone said, "Oh, they can see smoke billowing out the window on the door," so we stopped that before Dad found out. Yeah, but the railway station, it was just across the road. When we first shifted to Penola, the old Penola railway station was still in use, but sometime later they shifted the station further north because the original position of the old station was on a curve of the track, and it wasn't ideal for, how drivers change the baton as they go through. You've got to change the baton, and it's a key. so only one train can be on that line at one time.
Oh.
And I remember as a kid, Penola Area School, one day they lined us up, there was no platform, so they lined us up along the track, and through the station came this diesel engine train with Queen Elizabeth II and the Duke of Edinburgh waving to us. And I think it was her first trip to Australia after her coronation, so that was pretty special. Yeah. We thought it was pretty good.
I reckon I've seen a picture of Mum and Dad had with the flags across the front of the train.
Yes, exactly. There was the Australian flag and the Union Jack draped over the nose of the diesel engine. Yeah.
The English flag.
Yes.
Anyway, okay. So you grew up in Penola, went down to Allendale there for a while, and so marital status still?
Yes, still. Yes, my good wife Lynette. We married in Sale. I have 2 children. Cassandra is living in Newcastle with husband and 2 boys, and Aaron, our son, he lives in Kalgoorlie and he works in the mining industry there.
Now we'll talk a little bit about your flying, but in a minute. But what's some of your specialties? What your wife would have done too? Because you're away a fair bit.
Yeah, I was away a fair bit, and Lynn had to soldier on her own a lot of the times, and but she used to teach swimming. We had a swimming pool in the back of our house in Molong, so she used to teach children and adults to learn to swim. She said the adults were pretty hard going, but yeah. And then when we shifted around, we had a MBS office supplies, a stationery business in Penola, and we had that for a few years. And when I was up in Burke flying, she operated the business on her own. When I was back down there, I'd give her a hand, of course, and I used to do a run once a week down around Alexandra, Yea, etc., selling and taking orders, stationery, and then the next week would be up around Tungamar, Devonish, and towns up north there, and so that was that. And then she later on, she was always a very good cook, and so after Benalla, we shifted up to Burke, and she opened up a gift shop in Burke, a beautiful little gift shop, and appropriately decorated with a wagon wheel and a bale of hay, and ladies from the outstations used to come in and buy goods from her. And twice we went out to the field days out the road, Hungerford field days, and I'd take a trailer load and the Nissan station wagon load of gifts, and she'd sell out there in the 2-day. I think it was a 2-day show. Yeah, so she is a high achiever, because later on, when we were living in Molong, she was elected to president of the Rotary Club, and much to our surprise and my pride and joy, she was awarded the Paul Harris Fellow Medal, which is the highest award in Rotary, for doubling the membership while she was there. So that's pretty good. And in later years, living in Molong still, we opened up a bed and breakfast, and we had a place, and we renovated it, and it was become the Breezeway Cafe. So she operated a cafe and a bed and breakfast, and our other place was it was another place to rent. I think they call them B&Bs and all that stuff. And then so she always been capable. And then when we shifted to Jerilderie, we opened up a dining room, and we were the only ones in Jerilderie, so she was kept very busy. And I came home from a fire bombing a few days away one time, and sometimes she'd put on 2 parties a day or a weekend, and Christmas parties. So I said, well, Lynn, I think you've earned a little gift, so I bought her a dishwashing machine. So that
Was that you?
so that was that. Yeah. So anyway, and later on, we're still talking about Lynn's achievements. She, when we shifted to Albury, she joined CWA. Well, actually, she joined when we were still in Jerilderie. However, in Albury, she could see the need for an evening branch whereby younger ladies would like to join, but they couldn't because the meetings were held during the day. So she started an evening branch whereby the ladies could, after hubby was home from work, he'd look after the kids, and the ladies could come to their meeting. So she's got that going. She's had that going several years. She's become a life member now, and now she's a executive member on the state CWA. So she goes to 4 meetings a year, 4 3-day meetings a year. So she's still kept pretty busy.
And she's also not kept to Australia either, has she?
No, she's come with me we both went to KL 2 years ago, Kuala Lumpur, to ACWW, Associated Women of the World. It's an international CWA organisation.
So Roger, where did you first think of flying? You know, you're driving the car. Think I wouldn't mind being a pilot. What brain fart did you have from back then? You know, that's a long time ago, mate.
It is, and I can tell you exactly when it was. Strangely enough, I can remember the day, and I was only about 8 or 9 years of age, living in Penola in the house, and I still remember it. I heard this strange engine noise, so I ran outside and looked up, and I was gobsmacked. Here's this aeroplane going over, and it was a DC-3 as I know now, and I thought, that's it. That's what I want to do. And I wasn't sure how, why, or what, but whether it was engineering or commercial flying, well, which I did both. And I knew I was going to be in aviation from then on, from that day on, and it wasn't a drama. So I organised my schooling, my career, heaps of exams, flight tests, everything, all around that. Yeah.
So you've decided to become a pilot, and we'll go into the engineering side of things a little bit later.
Yeah.
But when you first become a pilot, and your very first time you grabbed hold of that joystick by yourself, no one else in the plane.
Oh, that comes later.
Yeah, the first time by yourself.
Oh, first time by myself.
By yourself, yeah.
Right. Perhaps I just should go back a bit. I fell in love with flying, as I've just explained, and it wasn't a drama for me. I started learning to fly at Sale in Gippsland, and the Latrobe Valley Aero Club would bring up an aircraft and instruct it to West Sale each weekend. So I'd do my flying lessons and study for the exams, one at a time. The theory was just like an interesting novel to me. I just soaked it up, and it was so interesting. And so the very first time I flew solo was 8 hours. I went solo in 8 hours, which means you do your training circuits, emergency, this and that, and then when the instructor deems you're ready, he won't say anything. He'll just get you to land, pull up. He says, right, and he hops out. He says, go and do a circuit on your own. Holy shit! All right. But
so you're saying to me that you've done party training, you get up there flying around, and you had no idea, and you're saying wave and go past, and the wife give her a wave down around there, and he pulls up, pull over here next to that place over here, and he gets out, and you go do it.
And you go, what? And to me, I felt a surge of confidence, not overconfidence, but a confidence. And I remember I taught a fellow to fly his Thorpe T-18, a tailwheel aircraft. He'd just purchased from up in Cairns. I flew it down from Cairns to Burke for him and taught him to fly it. And being a tailwheel, it takes a fair bit of directional control, and he had trouble with that, as do most novice tailwheel pilots. But I remember when I sent him off for his first solo, I pulled up, I said, "Righto, Warwick, you go and do one circuit and come back here." And he looked at me, but I knew he was ready. But it was a look of anxiety, but I knew he was ready, and he could do it.
Yeah. So what would you call a tailwheel?
Tailwheel Thorpe T-18. Actually,
how's that look any different to?
It's only a small two-seater, side-by-side seating with a central joystick, tailwheel, Thorpe T-18. It's got a 200 horsepower Lycoming engine in the front, fairly beefy. It gets along about 150 knots, which is pretty fast for a little thing. Yeah. And when I was doing my commercial flying out of Latrobe Valley Aero Club.
As we come to the end of our conversation with Roger Buck, we've had the privilege of learning about the early chapters of a remarkable life. Born in 1948 in Mount Gambier and raised in the small town of Penola, Roger grew up as the second of four brothers: Ian, Roger, Spencer and Greg. From the age of 9, Roger knew he wanted to fly, a dream that would stay with him and grow stronger throughout his life. That passion led him to a career in the Air Force as an engineer, where he combined technical skill with a deep love of aviation. Roger eventually married Lynn in Sale, Victoria, and together they raised 2 children, Cassandra and Aaron. Alongside his professional achievements, Roger has always nurtured a love for music, particularly the bagpipes, a topic we look forward to exploring further in upcoming interviews.